thank you again for coming. We really appreciate you for taking time to be with us today. I guarantee you today it's going to be a fantastic session. We're going to have a really interactive session. We're going to have a conversation, and it's a special day today, actually, this being Black History Month. We've dedicated this session particularly to try and make the most of it, really, make the most of the time that we have. And before I say too much, let me allow Stephen to take lead from here on end. And yeah, Stephen, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everybody, and I just want to say thank you very much for turning up. I'm quite excited, really. You know, it's nice to see people, nice to engage with people. That's really amazing. And yeah, so let's crack on and see how we're getting on. So for those who don't know, my name is Stephen Braganya, as it appears on the screen. And the main aim really of this program is really to find a platform where we can, you know, share ideas and, you know, exchange experiences. I started this thing back a few years ago, and the aim was exactly what I've said, you know, working alongside each other to see how we can realize our potentials, you know, and equipping ourselves with the knowledge which is already available, and then see how we can move forward. So that was the main aim. So always, whenever have an opportunity, please dive in. That's the aim, really, trying to see how we can support and help each other to succeed. And it doesn't matter which area you're focusing on, a businessman, you know, an employee, a student, you know, the ideas that we're sharing here, they will help you in some way to go where you want to go. Okay, so that's important. Now, as we are, you know, celebrating the Black History, please allow me to, you know, share some few points before I welcome Mr. Marc Asante. Yeah. So number one, I just need to kind of remind you and me, myself, you know, that we are well capable really to change, you know, our lives. And simply because, you see, we have been given godlike power, you know, to create and change our environment. You know, we are kind of different creature from other creatures. You know, other creatures just operate by instinct, but you and me, we can really change the environment that we live in. If we don't like the postcode, we can move in to another house. So if you don't like the town, we can go to another place. So we need to kind of start from there, you know. And also it's important for us to kind of remember that being that you are spiritual as well as physical, you know, you got mind, I got mind. Now your spirit, my spirit got no colors, you know, there's no black spirit and a pink spirit or, you know, black mind. We are all, you know, created equally, that I was supposed to say. So that's important for us really to remember. And it's really good to know that, you know, as we live our lives, you know, every day and every minute that passes by, that you and me put in place actions that determines our tomorrow, you know. So that is important, because at times that we may think, oh, I'm not going forward because of this and that. But the fact of the matter is there are some principles and rules and, you know, that really govern success. You know, there's some laws that really govern how the universe operates. So it's important for us to be mindful of this before we kind of focus on one side and say, well, because maybe I'm ethnic minority or in one way or the other, okay? And I tend to believe that success or failure as human beings is not a matter of luck or luck or some fate or breaks that comes. It should really be a matter of us following some common sense, you know, paradigm, rules of success and principles, you know, and the guidelines which are there. And it's a sad thing that, you know, we don't learn these things in school. Most of the time, you know, we just learn other things, but this kind of thing we don't learn. So I say, well, when you have platform like this, you know, it's good time for us to come and then ponder and share and see how much we can succeed. And I believe that each and every one of us really want to have good results from life, you know, but it's a good reminder that, you know, you and me got to take a certain responsibility for our lives really to go in a certain direction. We cannot just leave a free fall. You know, we have to take a responsibility. And one of my teachers that I like to listen, he say, you know, if you have a wind blowing, the destiny of a sailboat does not be determined by the push of the wind, but how you set your sail. You know, so that is key, to be honest, because whatever happens, happens. But what we do with what happens, that makes a difference of where we're going to reach. You know, go in the same school, sit in the same class, listen to the same teacher, but at the end, we all reach in different destinations, simply because of how did I decide, how did you decide, and what did we do? Yeah, so I think that's a good remainder as well for us to take into consideration today. So the laws and the rules, you know, law, sowing and reaping, and action and reaction, and all these things, they all play a part into our success. Now, as we are marking the Black history, I just want to highlight something small about the identity. What I've come to learn is that some people who struggle with identity, they tend to join, you know, a certain club or a certain organization to have that, you know, group identity. Yeah, so I belong to, you know, XYZ, you know, group, you know, and that gives you a label, you know, that gives you a badge, which is fine, you know. But what I want us to know is, you know, we need to have our own identity even before you join particular, you know, group to identify you. Yeah. So we got to know who we are, you know, and for us to succeed, really is important that you have your own identity. You understand who you are, you know, that is important. I believe that is paramount. And again, we should have an ability to kind, you know, break away from the groups, because at times people want to go with the groups. You know, you want to follow the groups. You want to make sure, you know, I'm not going to go away. You know, want to follow the group where they go and all this. But at the end of the day, you find out that, well, at some point, for you to really succeed, you really have to break out of that. Yeah, and take a different path, you know, and walk along that line. Yep. So yeah, so as I summarized, the only thing I want to highlight is that you and me have the power, have ability and capacity really to succeed on whatever thing that we really want to succeed. And we could always remember that, you know, we have been gifted with the mind, you know, which is a very powerful thing. And we can really make things happen the way we want them to happen, okay? So I don't want to take too much time, because we really want to get, you know, everybody involved into this. And I will welcome Mr. Marc Asante to proceed with this. So welcome, Marc. Marc, you are on mute. Yeah.
Is that to unmute my microphone?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here to talk to you today, especially within this whole context of Black History Month. And thanks very much, Stephen and Charles, for inviting me to have a little chit chat and talk about some aspects of my journey and what we're up to. Just very, very briefly, I met Stephen Charles about a year. Actually, it's more than a year ago. I think it was back April, May in 2019. At an event, quite a 2-day weekend event, I think it was. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people there, lots and lots of people there. And we found ourselves meeting and talking and exchanging some views, thoughts, ideas, and thought it'd be good that if we sort of continued that connection or developed that connection, which we did over dinner at Charles's family home, and that was all very wonderful. And the year, kind of the end of last year, kind of ran away with us. And then obviously everybody knows what happened in 2020 at the beginning of this year with the COVID and the lockdown and everything else. I'll just tell you briefly in terms of what I do professionally. So currently I run an investment risk management and legal services company, whereby we represent private investors that have lost money through misleading and fraudulent investment offerings. So I act as an advocate, and we help develop sort of strategies for these people who've been sort of left behind, if you like, by the system, the FCA and the police and all the other official bodies that are meant to help these individual private investors when they've been scammed. And these are quite major frauds as well, anything from 25,000 to about £1 million. So we try to help and see if we can fill in the gap and help and represent our clients to perhaps affect a remedy to that end. So it's quite a niche sector. Been doing that for 9 years. Previously, I've been involved in, I worked for a pressure group called Disability Discrimination Group, where we helped, again, gave a voice to disabled people in a particular sector where they weren't getting represented properly. And I've spent time involved in motivational success coaching and sort of developing strategies for people, if whether it's in my own organization or more broadly, in terms of trying to understand the formula and the strategies that we need to have in place to achieve whatever levels of success that we believe that we want to. And I think, so again, I was honored to be allowed to speak here to you today in terms of success in the current marketplace, in the context of being from an ethnic minority, which I will touch on, but I would say some more general things in terms of the fact that first and foremost we're all human beings. So there's a formula for human beings to be able to move through their journey of life on planet Earth and achieve what it is they want to achieve. And we mustn't forget that there's not one particular formula for this ethnic group and that ethnic group or that gender or that. There isn't, and there isn't. It is true to say that people of color, black people, will or ethnic minorities, BAME. I don't know all these phrases. BAME. Okay. Well, it's true to say that some people from various groups may experience different things. Okay. And that's obviously a fact. But it's also a fact that women will experience with different challenges than men. Does that mean that a man can't talk to a woman about how to strategically become successful, or vice versa? So I think we mustn't, whilst I understand the context of the flyer and obviously taking nothing away from Stephen and Charles's event and everything else, we mustn't just, I happen to subscribe to the thought of that there are universal strategies for human beings to be successful, and that's determined by what they think is success, that are not necessarily determined by ethnicity or race or by anything else. But I do obviously understand that some of the, if we're talking anecdotally, some of the things that I may have experienced, then some of you, or the majority of you, may be able to relate to that. Okay, yeah, well, yeah, I get that, rather than maybe if it was somebody else speaking. But we have to live in current times. And in current times, it's, where are we now? It's the 10th of the 10th, 2020, the 10th of October, 2020. And by anybody's measure, 2020 has been a brutal year for so many. By anybody's measure, 2020 has been a brutal year for so many. So one of the first things I would say, and we can't, it's no good me litigating what's happening in 2020, because we know, we all news, is we somehow have to insulate ourselves against the massive negativity that there is in the media and the feeds and social media and wherever that's coming from. Because of course, excuse me, now our information can come from so many different places that we can become bombarded. I've gone through phases where I've been addicted to the news, whether it's the UK news or it's international news through CNN or whatever other channel I'm listening to. But then after a while, you have to understand you're being fed a certain perspective and you're being fed a certain way of looking at that. And even though that it may not speak directly to you, when you then switch that device off or turn that device off and try and go about your daily business, that in the back of your mind can resonate and everything else. It can affect how you perceive yourself, what you perceive your opportunities to be, how you're going to go about your business, how you're going to go about your career, how even you're going to go about your family life. And one's not saying that nobody should know this is news, because obviously with everything living in the current times you are, we have to be made aware of what's going on. But the reality is, if we bring it down to us as individual human beings, right? How to be successful in the marketplace, which I believe was the thing, that how to be successful in the marketplace. First of all, you've got to protect your mind. That's the first thing you've got to do. If you're not protecting your mind, then you will leave yourself open for your mind to be contaminated. And that's it, by somebody else's view and opinion of how they believe that you should be thinking about yourself and your position in life. And once you fall into that trap, then it can be very, very, very difficult for you to achieve fulfillment, because ultimately you're not actually thinking about what it is that you need to be focusing on and what you're trying to achieve for yourself and your family. So protecting your mind, being absolutely focused and disciplined, and taking what you need from media outlets and news outlets, just enough so you know what you can or can't do when you go out your front door, but also having a clear vision of where you see yourself. So in the context, and again, I will go back to the theme of the event and the theme of the flyer, and say so as Black people, and I'm, I can't keep using all the ridiculous acronyms. So as Black people, are we affected one way or another? Are we affected uniquely? What happens? Well, this particular year, I mean, we have been bombarded. We have certainly been bombarded. And it can be very, very easy to believe that every single one of us, regardless of where we find ourselves in life is a victim and is disadvantaged and has to live in fear and goodness knows what. And I simply do not subscribe to any of that, and I never have. That doesn't mean to say I'm not living in reality. I'm aware of our history, very, very much so. Very, very, very much so. But at the same time, I'm also aware that, as Stephen referred to, we have the power to do anything that we want to do as human beings, first and foremost. So nobody can take that away from us. So, and again, it's easy to say a soundbite, a phrase or whatever, but how do we harness that belief into our everyday movements and what we're doing every day? So using the broad term marketplace, whether you're a student, whether you're an employee, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a parent, or whether you're one of all of those things, which you could certainly have more than one of those labels attached to you, of course. Again, the same rules really apply. The formula is understanding what you want at whatever aspect of your life, what you want that aspect of your life to look like, yeah? And then saying, okay, how do I develop the roadmap to get there? You with me? And you have to do that for yourself. Of course, you may have an idea, for example, and you think, okay, I'm going to share this with some friends or family and get their views and opinions on it. I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think, for example, right? And the people, as much as they may love and care about you, they may not just get where you're coming from. They might understand it, may not get it. And so therefore their reaction to it, whilst it'll probably wrapped up in polite, it may not be what you wanted to hear. So then you may become somewhat disenchanted and think, oh, well, no, maybe that's not a good idea. And what was I thinking about in the first place? And yeah, maybe they're right. And maybe this isn't the time. And maybe there'll be a good time. I'll wait for this and all that. And that is the worst thing that you can do. If you believe, because that wasn't market research, that was just getting people the opinions on what it is that you're trying to achieve. If you believe in your idea, if you believe in your career path, if you believe in your educational path or what it is, then you've got to see it through. You've got to see it through. And you've got to have the confidence to be able to stand or fall on the choices that you make. You cannot be afraid to fail, regardless. You cannot be afraid to fail. And you cannot believe that anyone else on planet Earth has got the power to affect your failure, because they haven't. They actually haven't, right? And we could be forgiven. We could be forgiven, especially in recent months, to believing actually, no, they have. But other people that may not look like us, may not know us, may not have share any of our lives experience, have the power to enable us to fail, but they don't, regardless. They don't. And certainly people that lived hundreds of years ago don't. Certainly people that lived hundreds of years ago have nothing to do with me. They've got absolutely nothing to do with what I'm going to do today, tomorrow, next week. Absolutely. Yeah? And you have to understand that, yes, obviously, in these times that we are now living, where lots of sensitive issues have been brought to the fore, and so they may be at the forefront of our consciousness, where they may not have been as much a year ago. But, you know, and again, I don't know who's in the room, right? But I've lived long enough to think, well, okay, I'm not hearing anything new now. Do you know what I mean? Whether I'm seeing a protest, whether I'm seeing a government do this, whether I'm seeing, I'm not seeing anything new. This has happened before. This will happen again. And at the end of the day, so what it is, and okay, I'm talking more in the geopolitical arena, not obviously in the health arena, because I've not seen that before. No one's seen COVID before. But do you know what I mean? So that is unique. But I have to be careful, and I have to be mindful of how I'm structuring what I'm saying. So, because I'm not belittling anything. I'm not belittling anything. What I'm saying is, how do I remain empowered so I can navigate, so we can navigate ourselves through the terrain that we are faced with in 2020. And let's be honest, it isn't all suddenly going to change in 2021, now is it? So this time is where we are living. We are now living in this time. What is it that we must do, continue to do, day after day after day after day, to make sure that we're insulated, to make sure that we're protected, to make sure that we're inspired, and to make sure we're continually developing, because I would say it's a work in progress, continually developing the life confidence that we need to achieve the success that we want. You know, what is success is going to be determined by your individual perception of that and your individual journey. So it's not for me to say, you know, some people may, you know, want to build a business. Some people may want to buy a big house and drive fast cars, or go on luxurious holidays, or be the fittest person in the room and go to the gym 100 times, or whatever. So, but once you've understood so if success is just achieving your goals, which is a good marker, then what are your goals and how are you going to achieve it? And how are you going to ensure that you're not taken off course? Now, myself and Stephen and Charles were talking, I touched on this just before the session began, the meeting began. It would be fair to say that most of us in various ways have been taken off course this year, of course. And we are, again, it's not like the world was perfect up until January 2020 or March 2020 when the lockdown began. And we all had our challenges. The world has always been an imperfect place. We've all had our series of challenges that we're dealing with. We're all trying to get on and take care of ourselves, take care of our family, put food on the table, keep a roof over our head, and progress our lives, stay healthy. We've all had that. But what's been brought into sharp focus this year is the need and the ability to be able to adapt to the circumstances as they change, especially when those circumstances are beyond your immediate control. So we can have, in other words, we can have circumstances that change, which are beyond our immediate control. But what we are in control of, and what we must retain, is the ability, how we react to those circumstances. I'm looking at lots of cameras and some of them are making me smile. Okay, so how we react to those circumstances. So what I'm saying is what I've understood is that been able to focus on some of my longer term goals, especially where my short term goals may have been curtailed through circumstances that I'm not been in control of, will help me stay empowered and confident about my future, you know? And so, but I think even if you think about that, even if we weren't in the midst of a pandemic, that having that as a structure or a strategy does actually make sense, because whether it's family, whether it's career, whether it's education, whether it's business, whether it's life in general, there is always going to be things that could potentially knock us off course, or mean we have to course correct, or mean that we have to readjust the time frame for that, being able to do this or that or the other, because these things have come to pass, or these things have come into our view. And I know that some of us have struggled, or struggle in general, to have the right strategy or coping mechanisms and change to adjust. So in other words, no, I've got my goal, I know what I'm doing. And then once you're taken off path, if something comes along, it's like, oh my goodness, and then it's difficult. And I get it. It can be difficult to regroup. It can be difficult to refocus, to recalibrate your mind. But guess what? We have to. We have to be flexible enough in our thinking, in our strategic thinking, in our life planning, if you like, to be able to do that. I often use the phrase "fortune favors the bold," and I think now more than ever before, I would argue that fortune will only favor the bold in this post-semi-lockdown COVID pandemic era that we are living in. Fortune will only favor the bold, and all of us can be bold. That's the thing, okay? So all of us can be bold, so therefore all of us can benefit from fortune as we define it, based on us, again, moving towards whatever goals that we have for ourselves. In terms of in terms of some of the challenges that I've faced, because I know that when I was in terms of some of the challenges that I've faced in my career, I think, look, at the end of the day, from I was 17 years old, I just said to myself, I've got to overachieve. So again, I think anecdotally, when people start talking about themselves, and I will just a little bit, but I don't want to make that the main thing. It's all very well, but everybody's different. No, my father always used to say, you can't walk in another person's shoes. So yes, I did have that kind of, and I still have that kind of obsession and that thing, I've got to do this, I've got to do the other, I've got to be successful, I've got to be successful no matter what. And I just was prepared to, I am still prepared to do more. But I look at certain people. One of the things I do, one of the formulas that I think I do, I look at people who I believe are successful or are successful, you know, and think, okay, what did they do? You know, whether that's Robert F. Smith from Business in an American businessman, whether it's the late and the great Kobe Bryant, whether it's, it can be anyone. It can be someone from sport, it can be music, it can be someone from business. Oprah, you know, her story is phenomenal. What did these people do? Right now, whilst I may not get to their great heights, yeah, I can get to my great heights in what it is I'm trying to achieve, and I've got the right and the ability, because it's all out there, to be able to research their journey. I'm not trying to be them. I'm me. You're you. But what did they do? What did they experience? How did they overcome? How did they calibrate their mind? How did they start their day? How did they go? How did they make that transition? So when they were struggling, when nobody knew who they were there, or they were at the beginning of their careers, what was it they used to do? Who did they follow? Who were they getting their influences from? And obviously, all those names I've just mentioned, or you know, the three names I've just mentioned, was when they were starting out. Obviously, social media didn't exist. Yeah, in fact, when they were starting out, Google didn't exist, or most of them anyway. So now there's this vast amount of information and knowledge base out there that we can tap into. I think it's always good to think about, okay, who do I admire? Who have I watched? Again, whoever it may be, and how where can I get the information about their journey? Yeah, and I as a kid, as a teenager, as a in my late teens, I used to do that all the time. I was always doing that. Let me find out about them and writing out notes and thinking, okay, right. And so it's so great because there's, again, everybody's different, so you'll be able to get a snippet of information from that person, if it's an athlete or a business person, that person, if they're in the media, that person, if they're into music, that person, I like sport. I like all those things that we've mentioned. And so, I particularly like motorsport. So, I've kind of looked at how did, even before Lewis Hamilton, I would look at what Michael Schumacher was doing and Ayrton Senna and people like that. And what is that commonality? What drive those people? Obviously, they're very, very skillful. And you could argue they've got a natural talent, but what keeps them going and going to achieve that success and that formula? And one of the things I would say, and I say this when I'm doing my own sort of sessions for my own audience, is that I find a lot of people will say, yeah, I want to do this and I want to do this and I'm going to do that and blah, 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 nothing to me. And they say, and I'll say to someone, what have you got a 2-year plan? Have you got a 2-year goal? What do you want to happen? What do you want your life to look like in the next 2 years? I don't go beyond that, 7-year plans and all that. It's a little bit, especially in these climates, it's difficult to think about that. But then when I drill down, especially with my team, and I've run several sales and marketing teams over the years, and I think, okay, how are you prepared to do what it's going to take to achieve what you've said that you want to achieve? And that's the thing, because it doesn't really matter. I'll be honest with you. I can talk for days, but it doesn't really matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It could be anyone. You could be the highest motivational speaker on the planet talking to you. You with me? But he or she has already got theirs, right? So it doesn't. We can get a warm feeling from speaking to someone going, okay, what are we prepared to do? So I'd rather focus on the internal questions that you have to ask yourself and check yourself, because no one else can check you. You're grown people. No one else can check you. No one else can say to you, you need to be. You don't have to be doing anything. Do exactly what you want. But my mother always used to say, the problem with being able to do exactly what you want, and she would pause, and then she'd look at me and say, is being able to do exactly what you want. Because there is all the responsibility is on us. The problem with being able to do exactly what you want is being able to do exactly what you want. Because you can't say, yeah, but no, it wasn't me, it was over there. But if only, no, did you not see what happened? It had nothing to do with me. Honestly, I tried, but it just, And that's why I think this political climate, especially for our people, is dangerous. I think it's dangerous. I will not make excuses. I will not make excuses. Yes, I'm a black man. I'm proud to be a black man, but I'm not going to make excuses from what I do, what I achieve, or my failings. If I'm going to own my successes, I've got to own my failures. It can't be, oh yeah, well, I'm successful because I'm successful. And that's because of that. Yeah. Now, does that mean there are barriers? Because there are lots of barriers, but there's lots of barriers for everybody in life at any different juncture. Are you with me? But the barriers start in there. That's where they start, regardless. Regardless, if you honestly believe, I'll give you a very quick anecdote. I went to dinner with a young lady, well, not that young actually, but a lady younger than me, about 1.5 years ago. And it was well recently, certainly a year ago. Beautiful, beautiful woman, very, very intelligent, academically intelligent, great family. Parents, I think, one of them was a university lecturer, one of them had their own business, that was her parents. And she'd done very well. She'd got a first degree, master's degree, and she was been in finance, everything else. She was making about, at the time, I think she was making about 70 grand a year. We're sitting down and she was talking about what she's doing. And then she went, yeah, and I can't remember the exact context of her, but we were chit-chatting and she went, yeah, well, obviously I'm from a disadvantaged background. I nearly choked on my food. honestly. And she's a black woman. And I said, what do you mean you're from a disadvantaged background? She goes, no, but I am, aren't I? Because what, because you're black? Because who told you that? Because what does your mum do for a living? What does your dad do for a living? Where did you go to school? She went to private school, right? Where did you go to school? Yeah? How many degrees have you got? What's your salary? What area do you live in? All these things. I'm saying, who's told you that you're from a disadvantaged background? I said, the media has told you that because you've got a black skin. And she stopped. And this is what she was like 2 years ago. I mean, she don't know, but she was 34 years old. So she's 36. But it's a 34-year-old woman. She said that. And she stopped. And she went, oh my God, Mark, you're right. We've grown up just saying that we're from a disadvantaged background. That's how we've grown up to believe it, regardless. I said, exactly. I said, nah, you are not from any type of disadvantaged background. And she really wasn't from any type of disadvantaged background. We look at her parenting, her schooling, her education, her current career, and the trajectory of her career. Are you with me? And she goes, wow. And she could tell she's moved. She goes, I've never looked at the way you just put it through. What do your mum and dad do? Because we've always said that. We've just always said it. And when they were young, well, it's funny because I think she's grown up between Ghana and London. And when in London, her parents got a property in Hackney. And she goes, yeah, but I goes, Hackney? I goes, you have to be a millionaire to live there now. She laughs. Any of you from London will know how certain areas of London, they call it gentrification. That's another conversation. But the point is, she's not from a disadvantaged background. I would argue that any of us, if we're going to sit here and tell ourselves we're from a disadvantaged background, then we are, regardless. But if we decide that we're not, then we're not. And that's that. I know I can hear myself, and I know that sounds awfully simplistic, but I've got to tell you, yeah. And if you've got children, school, whatever age, but if you've got children, what are you telling them that? Are you telling them that they're already the underdog? I've never been an underdog. I've never been an underdog. I will never be an underdog, ever. Nobody. I don't care, because to be quite honest, I don't really care what other people's opinion of me is. And certainly, if someone's going to have a negative opinion of me for the color of my skin, they've never even heard me speak. Imagine that. That's imagine that. And people say, yeah, but what about when you go for interviews? And what about this racism? What about this? And what about that? And what about that? That is all there and current and present. You push harder, you maneuver, you walk around it, you go over it, you go under it, but you don't sit there like a rabbit in headlights and go, well, that's it, I'm going to get run over. You don't do that, regardless of who you are. Because if you do that, you will actually get run over. And the car will keep going, and the world will keep moving. And only those immediately attached to you through family and love will have any regard for you. Regard for that. Everyone else keeps going, because the world will keep turning. No. That lady in question, and she acknowledged it afterwards, of course, has never been from a disadvantaged background. We are not from disadvantaged background. I'm not. I never have been. And I could tell you some stories of racism and thisism and thatism and that, of course. We've got to be clear about what we're saying. But it's a case of, what is that going to then define what I'm going to do? Because other people, no, it cannot. It will not. But even that person, the reason I use that anecdote is because that woman is a successful woman. And she wasn't saying she wasn't successful. You with me? But she was saying that when I brought it to the fore of her mind, she had to really check herself. Go, yeah, where is that coming from? Do you know what I mean? Because it's just, like she said, it's something that's been just, and it's not said, it's just, oh, and it's almost like, oh, no, but you are. No, but you are. Ethnic minorities are this, and ethnic minorities are that, and oh my goodness me, and we have to do it. And yeah, okay, I'm not buying into that. And I don't know who's listening to me, but I don't. So I can't. I said to Stephen, listen, at the end of the day, this is not about a poor me. It's never going to be about that. It's not about poor me. It's not about anger. It's not about anything. But if you really want what you say you want, you've got to be prepared to do the work that's involved. If not, I've got no time for it. I don't want to even discuss it with people. Honestly, you have to, for me, as we all know, life is hard. It's always going to be hard. we try to find pockets of comfort. We try to shield and protect our children. Of course we do. But life is hard. And yes, did it get harder in 2020? For some, it really did. It really did. The choices were curtailed, and and that's notwithstanding anyone who unfortunately may have succumbed or become ill. But even just with the change in the environment of the planet and what we can and can't do. My point being is, if we don't protect our mind, we're not equipped for anything that's going to come our way, regardless of who we are, regardless of our race or ethnic background. We have to protect that mind. We have to protect that tool, that muscle, that God-given thing that we're given, so we can then cope and deal and adjust to what we are faced with. If someone says to me, I want to make £1 million. Okay, you want to make £1 million. If someone says to me, I want to start my own business. If someone says to me, I want to get married and have 5 kids. If someone says to me, I want to, do you know what I mean? Regardless of what it is that you want to do. Someone may just say to me, I just want to get on the housing ladder and buy my own house. Nothing elaborate, just, even a flat or a little 2 or 3 bedroom house would do. That's what I want to do. All these are goals. These are something that you see for yourself, you hope for yourself in the future. So the point is, what are you doing now? You have to understand or learn, and again, this is a session, it's not something we can cover here, but you have to learn how to put something in place that's going to slowly but surely move you toward that which it is that you said that you want. And all of us, I'm sure we already know this, there's never going to be plain sailing, all right? Sometimes there'll be days when you're just thinking, oh, okay, I don't expect to have a child. I know I haven't got a child life, but please, can I just have a break? Just one little break, just one little let off. Just please, allow me, please, just so I can move again, and we understand that. But those things, that progression, if we're not, and you know the phrase, if we're not moving, we can't stand still. So if we're not moving forward, we're going backwards. Because that's just the way the world is. We cannot stand still. So if we're not moving forward, we're going backwards. But the underlying thing, the foundation, starts with us. It doesn't start with the economy, with the government, with geopolitics, with who's ever prime minister, with whoever's the president, all this stuff. It doesn't start with that. It starts with us, that internal voice, that understanding of self that helps us, that prepares us, if you like, to go into the world and cope with everything that's going to come at us, with everything that's going to come at us. Now, those of us, very briefly, so those of us who've got children of school age, I don't know, but those of us who've got children of school age, you've got a double thing, because you're trying to raise human beings, and also deal with yourself and deal with all those issues, and still you're trying to. So that's a double, that's a thing. I meet a friend who's pregnant. She says, "Oh, I'm having a baby." "Oh, you're having a human being." "Oh, yeah. A baby's a human being from point A." Yeah. There's the impact of it. Having a baby. Yeah. A baby is a human being, right? And if you've decided to have kids and you've got kids, right? Please don't moan, and please don't blame the government, because the government did. Don't moan. Don't blame the government. Don't guilt trip them when they're old enough to be guilt tripped, right? You've decided to go down a path, right? So do everything within your power to be the best parents that you can be. So you can be the best husband or the best wife or the best plumber or the best businessman or the best nurse or the best teacher or the best. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is. Now, if whilst I'm not going to be, again, I'm speaking to Steve because I don't know. I can only say about 3 people, but anyone who's happy to be mediocre, that's fine. Mediocrity is absolutely fine. It's not what I choose to do. It's not how I choose to live. You with me? So I want more. I've got to achieve more. Like I said, from 17, I've been trying to overachieve. Okay, and I'm still trying. I'm a work in progress. But you got to understand is Because I think if you're aiming to be mediocre, then you'll be below that, and that's no good. That's no good. That may work against you. That may not give you what you need to sustain yourself and your family. Okay, but ultimately, the reason I brought the parent thing into it is because I'm not raising children. Yeah, I can focus on one. My sister's raising 4. You with me? So the dynamic of her husband and her 4 kids when I go to see them is very, very different to what I have to think about on a daily basis. Are you with me? But we have these power sessions. Me, my sister, and her husband will get on the phone and we do power prayers and we go for like 45 minutes when the kids are in bed or whatever they are, and we'll go at it. And it's just so interesting when I'm then talking to Alex and she's telling me about the various challenges he's had with. I've got 2 nephews, 2 nieces, whichever one it is, and she's talking about the school. They're all homeschooling now. They were, a long time before lockdown. She decided to homeschool them, and she made this absolute commitment to do this. You know, and I'm going, "Are you sure?" She goes, "Oh, absolutely not." And she was telling me why, and she could rationalise why she was good. There's nothing that she'd ever done, and she certainly wasn't homeschooled. And the irony of that is her husband's an actual teacher. So anyway, that's a teacher. The teacher and his wife decided their kids were going to be homeschooled. There we go. And I was just amazed by the way in which, well, I don't know, but I was amazed by the way in which she got it all structured. So the rationale for it, she knew the pitfalls, she knew the difficulties, she knew the challenges, right? And the why and what they wanted the outcomes to be. And then rolling the tape forward to, okay, now you're doing it, you are homeschooling 4 children, right? Plus some friends' children. So they had a little group of about 8 or 9. And how you structure the day and the curriculum and what you have to be able to do because the law requires you to have this in it and everything else. And the difference and the time split and everything else. And I was thinking, wow. And it just made me think, if you've got that vision to do something, if you've got that determination to do something, yeah, because obviously it's not easy. It's, you know, it'd be difficult enough with 1 kid, right? Let alone 4 of your own, plus, you know, your friends 3 that came involved, but her 4. It was because she had the vision, and she had the vision, should I say, and she had a roadmap. She kind of said, I need to get this, and this in place. I need to do this. She didn't just say, oh yeah, well, we're going to do this and see how it goes. Of course, you can't be that cavalier when it comes to your children's education, of course, because legally they have to be in school. You know, but it just made me think the preparation is key. Having the confidence, if you like, to say, this is what I'm going to do next, or this is what I would like to do. Whatever that is, however big or small it is, it doesn't matter what anybody else's opinion of it is, right? It doesn't matter what anybody else's opinion is of any goal that you have is. It matters that you've got the life confidence to, put that goal into the forefront of your mind, get it written down, and then work out a plan of how you're going to achieve it. Rather than just stumbling through day to day. And sometimes people find themselves doing that because they're just trying to pay bills and just trying to take care of their family. And I get that. But even with a family, the 24 hours that we are given or blessed with every single day, you will find a small amount of time, and it may be a precious small amount of time, that you can carve out for yourselves to be able to just focus on progression, goals. Am I moving forward? Do you know what I mean? How can I move? And just spend just that little bit of time, and then you can go back to that and see how day by day how you're getting on, how you're moving forward. Again, you must always be moving forward, or else you're going backwards. Whether you're single, whether you're a family person, whether you're married, whatever your situation is, these things, I'm saying it, have to happen. Don't have to do anything. These things should be happening for you to get that progress that you want. The other stuff in the world, I'll be honest with you, I have blinkers on. I do, because if I don't, like I said, when I get addicted to my CNN and my Sky and my MSNBC and all the other news outlets there are, then I turn on my device and I'm getting all these videos and it's all negative and it's all this, and I'm thinking I'm getting angry, I'm getting agitated. And I'm thinking, nah, man. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. What is that? Can that reaction affect a change right now? No, I've got to have a plan. I mean, I haven't talked about this, and I may do when people ask me some questions. But one of the tenets I have, and again, only because I don't know where people are coming from, is I talk about you have to have an economic plan. You know, I'm not going to go into that, but that's a whole subject. You know, I'm just talking about now maybe getting our minds right. But if you want to talk about if that question is posed to me, I will answer the question certainly. I can't look at that. So I'll just use my finger. The thing on the right with these words on it. I will answer that question. But ultimately, it's in all aspects of life. It's how do I keep moving forward, progressing and improving and maintaining and getting better. Do you know what I mean? So whether, again, your health is your wealth, of course. Your mindset, your mind frame, your mental health, your aspirations, your ability, do you know what I mean? Where you are, your career, your job, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment. There's a lot of uncertainty. But again, because I don't know where people are coming from, I don't think there's not a panacea. There's not one size fits all. So if someone says, okay, you're talking to 30 people who are they all work for companies and they're all going to be, they've all been furloughed and they may get laid off at the end of October, then that's a different conversation. So I'm going to have, if I'm talking to a load of students who are locked up in halls of residence in Manchester, and they're told they can't even go out and get food and it's being delivered, they've got no choice what they've got to eat. And you may not be able to go in for Christmas. That's another type of conversation you need to have. And so on and so forth. So there's lots of various conversations you need to have. But what is universal is protecting your mind. And I would say that's probably especially in October 2020, probably the most important thing to do. Because people who haven't protected their minds, and in as much as when I say that, what I mean is if you are then bombarded by so many different influences and influencers and things and that, the other, it's very, very easy to end up not really knowing what to think, how to feel, or what you're doing. You know, it's quite easy to do that because everything else, it is, how can I put this? Everything that we take in from whatever source in terms of news, media, social media, devices, TV, PC, smartphone, essentially there are obviously facts, but it's other people's interpretation and opinions of what's meant to be happening or what they want to tell you is happening. And then that idea of how we must feel. How we must feel, you know? And I have to tell you, the agenda, the agenda recently, okay, I'm not going to go there. But, you know, again, because I don't know my audience, I don't know the audience. So let's just put it this way. Be mindful of how you're being asked to feel, subliminally or obviously, yeah? Because you can sit in front of a phone, depending on how you've got your settings, you're in Facebook, and I can do this. Let me tell you what, I can sit in front of my phone for 5 minutes, and at the end of that 5 minutes, I'm angry. And I've forgotten everything that I've achieved. I've forgotten where I live, the life I've got, I've forgotten all that. I'm angry. Why is that? How is that possible? Nothing's been taken away from me. My business, my material thing, my health. I've still got exactly the same as I had yesterday, but I spent 5 minutes and I'm angry. Then I go to somewhere and I'm angry, and I'm looking at that and I'm angry. And then I'm thinking, am I a victim? And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I've been on the planet nearly 5 decades. What am I angry about? Am I waking up angry now? And that's the power of messaging, right? To take you away from moving towards your goal, because you've got to be angry. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to go to Bristol and pull down a step. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. It's nonsense. So I don't care now who I'm talking to. It's nonsense. I'm telling you now, it's nonsense. It will change nothing. You want to protest, you get an economic plan, you put yourself in a position of strength, and then you can affect change for your people, your community, and everything else. You want to run up and down and blame Boris. I don't blame Boris. Boris is a buffoon. Everybody knows that. He was a buffoon when he was the London mayor, and he's a buffoon now. I know what the articles he wrote about picking Piccadilly's watermelon smile. We all know what Boris is. So what? But Boris ain't going to affect me. What, do I lose money because Boris does it make any difference if it's David Cameron, Boris Johnson, or Theresa May who's Prime Minister? Has it made any difference to my life? No. No. And I'm sorry, and if people are going to say, and I don't know, maybe someone's going to, oh, well, it does, it makes it feel, well, it shouldn't. But a government man can't help us. Government man. What government man's going to help us? Whenever. Please tell me, explain. When? I want to go to utopia because I haven't been to a place where that's happened, and I was never taught that was ever going to happen. Yeah? I was taught I have to go to it, I have to keep myself, I have to take care of myself, I have to stand tall, I have to be strong, I have to keep striving. I get knocked back, I have to get up again, I'm going to get knocked back again, I'm going to get all this thrown at me, and I'm going to keep going and going and going and going and going and going. I don't care, I don't care. Makes no difference in my life. I don't care about him. I don't care about the guy in America. I don't even want to call his name. I don't care about him. He's a nonsense. It's a nonsense. It's a nonsense. What I care about is understanding what it is that we need to do to protect our minds, to protect ourselves, to elevate ourselves, to take ourselves forward in the 21st century, in 2020, 2021 and beyond, yeah, to be the best role models and inspirers we can be for our children, whether we've got children or not, for the youngsters in our community, to make sure that all of us are moving forward, yeah, at the end of the day. What happens, happened. What's happened, happened. People talk about this, that, and the other, and everything else. And I saw it the other day, you know, I don't want to keep being reminded of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. If we're talking about current times and something, an injustice happens in real time, you with me? But don't be keep telling me what happened 400 years ago, because what is it going to do? You know, there's this whole thing now where it's, oh, in Britain, they're still paying back slaves, they're still paying them, they've been paying. Okay, I didn't know that. Now I know that. I didn't know that. Okay, I know it now. I also know a lot of other things. There are certain things, what I'm trying to say, it's not that we shouldn't have access to the information because we can do our research, but you've got to look at the agenda when you are being bombarded with reasons to be angry, not reasons to be successful, not reasons to be entrepreneurial, not reasons to go out and make a fortune, reasons to be angry. I'm not interested in reasons to be angry. My father used to say, if you wake up in the morning leave your house waiting to be insulted, you will not have to wait very long. He used to say that to me. And he's right. Okay? He's right. I will not. The reason I believe that you shouldn't make excuses is because you cannot own or control my happiness, my sadness, my success, my failure, my aspiration, and my attainment. No one can own or control that apart from me. And once you get that in your head, and you could have it in your head, I don't know. But when you really, truly think like that, you are empowered. And people are like, oh, okay. Yeah, you come with whatever you want to come with. Honestly, you can't touch me. You cannot particularly physically, financially touch me. But on the other hand, when you maintain when your channel is open to all this stuff that's coming in, and then on top of everything, but you do know you're from a disadvantaged background. Imagine that. People thinking that, and then having kids, and they're looking at their kids, and then in their brain, as parents, they're already saying it. You with me? You know, has anyone heard the phrase "thoughts become things"? Right? They're already telling. If you're already telling yourself because you were told, and now you're going to tell them. Am I saying there aren't things that you need to discuss that may be unique to your culture or hue of skin? No, I'm not saying that. Obviously, I'm not. I'm aware of that. What I'm saying is, don't let anything that we have to be aware of, don't let anything that we may have enjoyed or may have enjoyed, do not let that be a reason or an excuse or a block or a barrier from you, your loved ones, your children, whoever's important to you, for achieving the great heights that you may have set for yourself or that you may have dreamed about is possible. Do not, at the end of the day. And I think, again, I don't want to, because I know Steve, I don't want to, there were just some other bits and pieces that were coming into my mind that I think I was going to talk about. How are we for time? Shall I wrap that up now? Because the problem with this is, Stephen, like I said, I need you to interrupt me, because honestly, I will talk for the whole continent of Africa till the year 2030. Honestly, I haven't even drunk any water. Stephen, come in. Turn on your mic. Stephen, come in.
Steve, you're muted. Oh, there
Am I alive now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are now.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, yeah.
Let everyone turn on their mic anyway. All this mute mic. Turn on your mics. What's all that nonsense? Turn on your mic.
Right, yeah. Well, as Mark is saying,
let's have an argument. Come on.
The floor is open, guys, and let everyone, come in. And just unmute your mic. Let's now, kind of enjoy and the ponder what we're discussing today. It is our platform, and then everyone got involved. Paul, I see you've been writing quite a lot of comments, so well done, Paul. Amazing. Good stuff. So before we go to questions, I have my question I'm going to ask Mark. I've got two questions I'm going to ask in the marketplace. But before that, anybody who want to jump in, say something, it's our platform, so you're all welcome, please, because everybody has their own experience, and we want to share, want to learn from you as well, So it's not one-man show, we want to learn from you. So come on, just unmute and then dive in. Welcome. Okay.
I came a bit late, sorry. I'll try to think of something, but okay for now, thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's okay, haven't missed nothing, so that's good. Yeah, Paul, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Paul.
I had a question. I understand the whole thing, not letting. I mean, it doesn't really affect me, but it's my wife. She's Jamaican, and she said, she gets the whole being positive and not letting any sort of discrimination to stop you. But how do you can get around these things? But like some people may have to change their name in order to get a job that they want, even in today's circles, or to give themselves a better chance. Now, it isn't in some way, yes, that is still, you still have to do what you need to do to achieve, but it still feels like you're cowering to the system in order to do that. And it does happen today. You could fire in 3 different applications and put different sounding names on there, and which names are going to be brought to the fore from certain companies. Even because it's not, a lot of companies are better now, but it's very difficult to police it, because you've actually got to set them up and catch them out to do it. So do you know what I'm saying? So if your name's, I don't know, you've got some Islamic sounding surname or some African sounding surname, I mean, Joyce is lucky she's got her surname is now Minehead, but before that it was an Irish name, Finn, which was obviously from the Irish, masters in Jamaica. But if you've got a foreign-sounding surname, it can dramatically affect your chances of getting a job, even in today's modern world, And I get that you have to keep trying, or you have to change your surname, or you redo it, jig it differently. But you're not to get consumed by it, but there's got to be a way of making a change to that, I know you're trying to put a positive spin on it, but she just pointed out that people are still having to do that today. They're still being discriminated because they're not getting put forward for these certain types of jobs, and it's based on the name at the top of the interview application or the application. I get the positivity, but I think she was just.
No. It's a fair point. I can remember. I mean, this was brought up a number of years ago by David Cameron before he was even Prime Minister. And I remember it was the Conservatives making a lot of noise about it, about the name discrimination and job application. And everyone's going to have a different opinion about this. It's difficult for me to answer. I mean, I've worked for. I'm very militant, so I probably wouldn't change my name. I probably would just. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. I've thought from the time I was 20 that I'm unemployable. Probably that's why I'm a businessman. So it's difficult for me. I wouldn't, it's very, very difficult to me because I think the reality is you could, if I wanted, the part of me wants to say change your name and get in front of someone, yeah. But then I don't want to say that because I'm thinking, nah, man, why should you have to do? Why should you have to?
This is the dilemma. I think my wife was saying you can work around these things, but then at some point you've got to address it, in a positive way perhaps. But I mean, there was a company in Oxford. They were fortunately for the person, they set them up. Somebody had said they were discriminating, so they set up 2 applications with identical qualifications with 2 different names, and they just chose one and rejected the other, and then they were fined for it heavily. But it's almost unpoliceable, isn't it? To a certain degree. Someone must come in. I mean, for me, I've just been on. These things are on my radar. I don't. I mean, because you've always been I guess you've always been a businessman. I missed the first part of the meeting. I don't know how you've been.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I started off working for people. I've worked for people. I hear about this name discrimination thing. I've not experienced it. I've experienced discrimination for sure. I mean, I have. I mean, of course I have. See, my thing is, if someone's discriminating against me, I don't want to work for them anyway. But I'm sorry, that's just how I think.
Yeah,
why am I going to go? I'm not going to stand at the door. Please let me in, please, sir. Please. Yeah. I'm going to go up yours, mate. Go about your business. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it again and again and again, and I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'll answer it. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. I don't care. Yeah, I'm not going to spend the next year trying to sue. I'm trying. I need a job. I'm going to get a job.
Step sideways and try someone else.
I'm going to go and get a job, and I'm going to just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going, and I'll expose them. Right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'll expose them, but you know what? I'll expose them when I have the power to expose them.
I've got you.
Then they'll be properly exposed.
Yeah. May I add something on that?
Yeah, come in. Sorry about that.
I think no, that's all right. I think the way I look at it, things that there are 2 fronts, isn't it, in this battle? I call it a battle. When it comes to issues of race, and sometimes we get them confused because you can either look at it on a societal point, in which case it becomes an activism. You're trying to address a societal problem. You're trying to change it, and then there is what we've been talking about today, about your personal success. And I think when you're talking about your personal success, the question you're asking yourself is, how am I going to get myself? How am I going to get myself over this hurdle? And I think that's where it becomes really difficult to answer that question, because it's different. People are different. The way people get affected with these sort of things is different. Someone might look at it and say, you know what, I'm just going to keep pushing. Someone else might look at it and think, I can't do this. I can't. I can't, I can't deal with this. Let me just change my name. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a problem, because at the end of the day, if someone wants to, if that's the situation you have to deal with,
find a way.
You have to look for a way. But that doesn't take away the activism part of things, where those matters need to be addressed. And I think that's the difference. And I think that sometimes we allow one to become a hindrance for the other. If you know what I mean. Sometimes you use that as an excuse and say that, because my name is such and such, I can't be successful, or because my name is such and such, I can't get the job. And I think that's where the problem is. I think we shouldn't accept that, and we should be willing to do whatever it takes to get ourselves where we want to go, but at the same time address these hurdles as we
I read a story about there was a barrister, a black barrister, who was explaining how he'd made it to the top, but the journey was longer and harder than his white people that studied at the same time as him. People who were coming up underneath him were jumping over the top of him and getting higher class jobs, and it was all due to the fact that they were white or they'd come from a different background, whatever. But these things do pop up, and he obviously achieved it, but the journey was a lot longer and a lot harder to achieve. Which it's good that he achieved it, but whilst you're doing that, it's as Mark was saying, it's good to, when you've got the energy to try and fight that, you have to try and make a difference to even the playing field, like women are trying to do against men. The actor. Guy's name escapes me. It shouldn't do. The one who was in Black Panther, he did something to one of his female co-stars. She couldn't take a role because they weren't going to pay her highly enough. So he gave so many % of his pay to her to give her the job. So I think it's okay to do what you need to do, but I think at some point you've got to come together and try and fight against these injustices. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have a tendency to sort of play devil's advocate, but not in a bad way, in a good way. I totally see what you're saying, Mark. I absolutely get it, 100%. It's all about, you have to focus on what you want to achieve and not be distracted or put off by the hurdles. But as Mark said, then you wait till you have to pick your battles wisely, I guess. That's what it is. And when you've got the strength and the ammunition and the power behind you to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. Again, I'm not going to give you my life story, but let me just say this: as a youngster, I used to be racially abused every day, every single day. I used to listen to these people. I think, okay, now different people can cope with different things, and I used to just think to myself, okay, watch me. See you lot now. Watch me. You lot watch me. You lot ain't got a clue. You carry on, man. Honestly, you think, what do you think? Look at you, look at me. Honestly, I'm a king, man. Honestly, I am a king. People would class that as arrogant. Arrogance is someone's perception of your perception of yourself. You with me? That's what it is. Half black people go, they don't think highly enough of themselves. That could be for religious reasons, for cultural reasons, for societal reasons, or because they have experienced this, that, and the other. You with me? So I do not deny discrimination. Believe me, I do not at all. I am completely and utterly and fully aware of it. Listen, some of my clients are racist. I've got clients who are racist. They don't even know I'm a black man. They don't even know I'm a black man. When they talk to me on the phone and I hear some of the things they say, honestly, I can't even, But I just think to myself, I will take your money. You carry on saying what you got to say. Look, honestly, it's like the Asians and the Pakistani corner shops. The Asian man that come to this country, set all these corner shops up and everything else, and get racially abused day after day. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah, like 300% markup. Open 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Taking the money off all these racist people that come to their shop. You know what I mean? Keep taking it. Build their houses, put 20 in the house, and now you look at the rich list. How many of them are in there? You see what I'm saying? That doesn't answer Paul's question. Paul's question actually sort of flummoxed me, because I do realise that it is a big issue for a lot of people. This whole name discrimination thing is a big issue. And there's not a formula that I could get, do you know what I mean? Now, because even if, say you change your name to, you know, to Jane Smith or Jonathan Rowe, and you get the interview and you go there, then what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do? And again, people have got where they've got the interview and they know really and truly they should have been hired and they haven't been hired. You with me? And this, that, and the other. And I think that it's a very tricky. It's you know, I don't think you know, the way I think about the world and what I would, because I'm quite militant, so I'm not, you know, I don't think Stephen doesn't really know me well enough to have me say it, because I'm militant. Do you understand? I wasn't brought up to be a yes sir, no sir, free bags full. Yeah, I grew up fighting National Front skinheads. I've been in this country all my life. These guys have only been. I grew up fighting National Front skinheads. Anyone who's old enough to understand about what Britain was like back in the day, we used to fight skinheads. Guess why black people never went to football matches? Because there's all racists went there. We didn't go to them. We don't go to them places. We don't go to those places. You with me? So you understand that when listen, let me just say this, because I'm going to stop talking about myself. Let me say this. Nelson Mandela was in jail for 27 years. Why was Nelson Mandela in jail for 27 years? Why wasn't he released from jail? Because he would not renounce violence. Remember, the British government classed the ANC as a terrorist organization and Nelson Mandela as a terrorist. Yeah? Nelson Mandela did not renounce violence, so they kept him in jail. And they used to say to him, listen, you can be out tomorrow. Renounce violence, disassociate yourself. No. He said, what? Look at what you've done to us. No. So what my point is, I'm not saying we should be violent. We don't need to be violent. We're talking about a job interview. I'm not, you know, it's not the same as apartheid, right? So if I'm going off piece, I apologize. But my point being, right, I will never apologize. I'm not going to be apologetic. I'm not apologizing myself. I'm not apologizing for any aspects. If I do something wrong to you personally, but for my being as a human, I'm not apologizing to anyone. And no one should. No one should. And I would say, but then again, I don't know how you know name discrimination. I suppose you say if you test it, so you get John Smith and Jane Anderson, and then you get Kofi whatever or whatever you do, yeah, and then you say, oh, look, they got recruited or they got pulled in for an interview, and the others got told to go away. No one responded to them. I suppose that you would know. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to stop talking now. Stephen, who's turning your mic off?
Could I just say, I suppose it's the same as you're saying about your upbringing, and you were a king, and you were going to say, I'm going to show you. It's like people I went to school with 40 years ago, 30 years ago, were like always at the back of the class, always in trouble. Now, 2 or 3 of those now have their own businesses and are more successful than a lot of the other people I knew that did well at school.
Yeah, and
it's not about the academic side of things. It's about them how they see things when they left school. It's your mental approach to things, and not how you leave school what academics you leave school with necessarily.
Yeah. No, I'd agree.
Your approach. So yeah, your positive approach. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, this is hard fought. You know, it's not. You know, you could have. You know, I may have had. There may have been periods in my time I was more deluded than I am now. You know, but you keep going. You say, no, I've got to achieve this certain thing. But I just think there's, again, I'm not going to get into it, but I've got my own opinion of what the current climate is and what the current media is telling us how to think and how we should feel and what do you mean, and keep playing over things and everything that's in all the feeds on Facebook and goodness knows what. And I just, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not ready for that. But yeah, okay. I'm going to go on mute now. So, and unless Steve and someone else has got a...
I'm going to stay on mute too.
Okay. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Yeah. Well, the time is gone, and I don't think if we're going to be able to ask any more questions, but Charles?
Where am I? Where am I? Yeah. No. Actually, my question was actually hijacked by someone else. I wanted to ask pretty much the same question that Paul asked. Mine was a lot broader because I was going to ask that question more generally, as in the sort of challenges that ethnic minority people face in the marketplace, through employment, things like that. Like the issue of name is one of them. Someone else mentioned on the comments here on the chat section about the stigma as well, that Black people especially regarded as can't do the job properly. There is always that stigma that is this person going to be, good enough, if you like, and I think we've fairly addressed that one. So there's no point in going back to it again. So yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, if you're good, and that's good. Anybody with a question? Anybody with a question they want to ask for the 30 seconds? Anybody with? Right, if you don't have any questions, that's good. Mark is smiling because he's got no more homework to do. Right, I have just sent a message in the chat. One of the members here, Cecily, she has a meeting, actually, upcoming meeting on the 15th of October, 2020, 11:30 to 1 p.m. This is about World Mental Health Day in relation to Black history. If you have time, please join in. I'll put the meeting ID and the password on the chat, so you can jot that one down, and you can attend if you'll be available, please. More than that, I think we.
Sorry, Steve. Sorry, yes. Steve. May I just add something on Cecily's account? Yeah, I don't know whether she's still here or not, or whether she's already gone. I'm not sure. I can see her. She's still here, and hopefully we'll give her a minute or so to say. I mean, Cecily has been a wonderful. I don't know what's the word. Compatriot. I don't know whether that's the right word or what. We've been working side by side in the community, and she's a wonderful community champion. She does a lot in our communities here, and we've learned a lot from her, haven't we, Steve? And so we've been working together. Our organization, Utulivu Women's Group, we've been working side by side through our meetings, doing different things together. And in fact, even if you look in our flyers, we have their logo as well, because we kind of tend to work together in a lot of things. So yeah. So if Cecily, if you're on, please, if you could just say a word, if you can, it would be absolutely fantastic. Are you here, Cecily?
Stephen, thank you. I'm actually watching from the mobile, which is a bit limiting.
Yeah.
And the voice has not been very clear. But thank you for that. Yes, World Mental Health Day, which is today. If you've been following the news, Get Britain Talking was launched yesterday towards today's Mental Health World Day. So we are taking this further to make it part of Black History Month, and so celebrating it or observing it on Thursday, 11:30 to 1 o'clock. And we will be focusing on telling my story, building my resilience. So please be part of that.
Hello?
Yeah, I think she disappeared.
Yeah, she kind of disappeared a little bit.
She gone.
But yeah. I think we got the message.
Yeah, so more than that, I would like to thank you very much. Oh, she's coming back.
It's about managing stress and anxiety. So keep it up, and we can continue working together as long as or until we see each one of us as boosted their resilience in managing mental well-being, or well-being, so to say. So thank you for that.
No worries. No worries, Cecily. Thank you so much for that, and I do appreciate it. Thank you, Marc Asante, for your time. It wasn't very long notice, but well, yeah, you crack on. So thank you very much, and we hope to, have our meetings. We have this, after we skip a week and we have it on the other week. So we will let you know on how we go on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So we appreciate it. And yeah, thank you, everyone. It's been really amazing. I appreciate your time. And I do believe that you can get 1, 2, 3 things that you can, you can use you know, and to make your life a success. And that's all about really. We just want to come and share experience, you know, like what Marc said, you know, go knock in the door and they say, well, yeah, we don't want what you're selling. Thank you, bye-bye. You know, but I keep knocking the doors. And today, well, he's somehow at the top. So that's what we want to hear, you know. You knock as many doors as you can, you know. You get as many no's as you can, but let them knock you, let them not knock you down. You keep up in more, knocking more doors, you know. That's what we're looking at. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. And let's keep coming, learning together. There's power in this, you know. It's a good thing. I know there is a pandemic. Everyone is locked in the house. But what we can still use technology, at least, you know, to share this way. And I know we can't have COVID-19 but in a Zoom. So don't worry, come and let's have a chat. All right? Yeah, if there is anything else, Charles, we can maybe...
I'll just echo what you just said, Steve. Thank you so much, Marc. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for your time, and we value your friendship, your dedication, and from day one you were very accommodating of us, and yeah, and we've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from you personally, and today I'm sure a lot of these guys that have joined us today have learned from you. So thank you for your experience. Thank you for your time, and guys, everybody else, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been wonderful. Thank you for your contribution. The chat section was very lively today. I don't know if you guys noticed, people were chatting away, discussing different matters and different points that were arising from Marc's talk. So it was really nice. It was really lovely, lively, I was meant to say, and lovely as well. So thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll have another meeting in 2 weeks' time. It's still going to be Black History Month, so we'll still have something in the same line. So watch this space. We'll send you information about what's going to be discussed that day, who's going to be the speaker, and this time and whatnot. So up to that note, I'll leave it to Steve to wind up the meeting. And thank you.